this verse, Psalm 16:5, and I think it's going to be helpful. I know I was excited about it. Psalm 16:5, it says this: the Lord, I guess I wrote it in my notes, but let me read it from the Bible. 16:5, the Lord is the portion of mine inheritance and of my cup. Thou maintainest my lot. You know what, Alyssa, I'm going to go to a side mic because that helps me be more comfortable. This one, right? Something in my hands, and that helps. Okay. So, let me go back to the verse, excuse me. The Lord is a portion of mine inheritance and of my cup. Thou maintainest my lot. So let me just tell you a little bit about what I studied in this. Just listen in, okay? Portion, I love to look up definitions. And where's Carrie Marriott? She's here today. She wasn't able to be here. Okay. She did that journal, and my suggestion was to put a little spot for definitions of words, and she did it. I was like, wow. Because I love to define words. It gives you such a neat perspective on a word in a verse, and it just helps you to learn. So portion means a part assigned, an allotment, a dividend. So the words portion, cup, inheritance, and lot were very familiar to the children of Israel. After they conquered the land of Canaan, the land was, of course, then divided amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, who can tell me, I sort of misspoke there. Which tribe did not get a portion of land? Does anybody know? Levi, right. Okay, very good. Y'all are with me. So in Numbers 26, 52 through 56, we're not going to go there, but it explained how the Lord wanted all of that to be done. They were assigned a portion of the land, their lot, okay? Now, again, the tribe of Levi did not get up there. The Bible explains that the Lord was their portion, okay? It was different always for the tribe of Levi. They were the ones where the priests, came from that tribe and so forth. So, this portion, the inheritance given, the cup, this is what was assigned to them. Yes, God is our portion. David talks a lot about that the Lord is my portion. And we're not going to dwell on that right now, okay? And he is our cup. But God has also given us a portion. He has given us an assignment. He has given us our lot. And each one of us have a different assignment, right? Okay? The question is what cup, what assignment has God given you? Okay? What have you been assigned by God? Do you believe that your life, your circumstances, the blessings and the trials, that song went perfect with my talk today that we sing, The God on the Mountaintop. Do you believe all of those things, your lot? Do you believe that's all under his control? It takes a while to learn, and I'm still learning that. I still have to get my perspective right a lot. Okay, God, I know. You're in control every day. Okay, God, you got this. You're in control. And I have to remind myself that a lot, okay? Do we live like we really believe that he is God, that he is in control? We were created for him and by him. And all of this, ladies, our lives are bigger than us. There's a much bigger picture than what we can see. Okay? So I want you to turn over now to Colossians in the New Testament to chapter 1. Y'all are listening really good. You're like me. I teach, I've been almost 30 years, I think, teaching teenage girls in Sunday school. Mrs. Bryant has junior high girls. I have senior high girls. And they're always such good. Becca, are you listening back there? Okay, can't see your face. I want to make sure you're not sleeping on me. Okay. Colossians chapter 1, 16 and 17. I'm glad I got this segment and not last night because I thought, I don't want that spot. I want early in the morning because I'll be awake. My hair still looks good. It hasn't fallen flat yet. So, good job. Thank you, Mrs. Walker. All right. Colossians 1, 16 and 17. It says, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him. Now get these next three words. And for him. That's us. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. He is in control, and the cup that he has passed, your way and my way, was assigned by him. Have you ever been given an assignment in school? that you did not like? Anybody ever been there? Some of you high schoolers, you're probably there. You can remember, you're probably all thinking, yeah, remember that one teacher? Man, I didn't like him at all. He gave me a stupid assignment, and I don't even know why we had to do it. Y'all are probably thinking about that. Maybe God has given you an assignment in your life that you weren't particularly caring for right now. Okay? He passed a cup your way, and you wanted to send it right back where it came from. Has this ever happened to you? Sure, it has happened to all of us. I'm going to tell you a story. When I graduated from Hyles Anderson in 95, that January, and then I got a position here teaching. So I got to come back to my home church, which was really cool. And so I took a position teaching 4th, 5th, and 6th grade that fall. And so I did that for 4 years, and then Jesse and I got married, and I said, I can't handle all that and be married, because that was a lot, a multi-grade, breaking all the papers, yada, yada. So they put me in the upper level with and I don't remember what year this happened, but they would assign your classes and all that. And one year, I think it was Brother Bryant, I'm telling Miss Bryant that I didn't appreciate this. He said, you get to teach none other than government class. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know anything. Who's the president? I don't know who it was back then. It wasn't Ronald Reagan, that was the 80s, right? I don't know, Bill Clinton or something. But anyways, government class. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to really study. I got to really figure this out. I was not particularly excited about that assignment at all. We took a field trip, right, down the road to Pontiac. Anybody stayed in Pontiac at the hotels? So went down there, went to this government office, a Republican government office, right? So what are the symbols? The Democrats are the donkeys, right? Very fitting. And then, in my opinion, that's what. And then the Republicans are elephants. So blonde and smart teacher that I am, I have all my students there. I have First Baptist will know why this is funny, but like John Hartzell and Josh Schussman. Rachel, I think, was in that class. Were you in that class, Rachel? Do you remember doing that? And so we get in the office, and there's all these elephants around. So I thought, I need to talk. I need, I'm a teacher. I gotta look smart and friendly. So I'm like, wow, I like all your elephants. Do you collect elephants? And I don't remember the man. I don't remember what the representative's name was. He commented back, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So that was funny and embarrassing. So assignments, some things you don't particularly care for. Sometimes God even maybe sends you an unexpected cup your way. It is assignment that totally surprised you. In school, what did they call them? Pop quizzes. Now, I was a pretty good student. I did graduate valedictorian in my high school class, but now there's only 5 of us, but nonetheless. But, I studied, and I, always wanted to get these straight A. I wanted to do really well. But, man, they do those pop quizzes, and, that'd give me a heart attack. It'd send me in a tailspin. So, have you ever taken, switching gears a little bit here, have you ever taken a drink of something or eaten something that you were full well knew, okay, this is, this certain type of drink, and then you took a drink of it, and it wasn't that? You're like, holy smokes, what was that? It totally takes you by surprise. Okay? You were not expecting it. You thought it was one thing, and you thought you were getting this, but you got that. Whoa. So another funny story. When I was single, I remember Alicia Pierce, Betsy's sister, Alicia Pierce, went on this trip. We went to a bed and breakfast. We had a staff meeting. It was I think it was called the Beehive. Do you remember in Shipshawana? Beehive. And this lady, had this home. It was a bed and breakfast, and she fixed this huge breakfast and then a huge lunch. For lunch, we had sandwiches and I don't remember. She made all kinds of wonderful things. And there was this relish-like tray with all the condiments. Your mustard and Sarah, you were there. And what I thought was mayonnaise. I really like real mayonnaise. Uh-oh. I grew up in Miracle Whip. Mom, I want you to know I switched to mayonnaise. I grew up in Miracle Whip. I did not know there was such a thing as real mayonnaise. But I figured it out. And I really like mayonnaise. So I thought it was mayonnaise on my sandwich. And I really like mayonnaise, so I was putting a good portion on there. And I get ready, go on there, got the meat, everything, lettuce, tomato, and I chomp into it. It was not mayonnaise. It was horseradish. That's what I thought. So needless to say, I was like, I'm trying to be polite, preachers there, I gotta be, I'm just like, what I thought it was And Alicia said, and she's like, what is wrong with you? His words French. And I want to say she did the same thing, and maybe I took the first bite. I don't know. But that was very unexpected. So the assignment, maybe in your life, was unexpected, but it was given. Your cup has been placed before you. There has been a sorrow, a grief, a burden, a sickness, a broken heart, infertility, parents divorcing, singleness, a severed relationship, widowhood, a wayward child. Whatever that one thing is that came to your mind as I was listing those things, let's just don't dwell on it right now, but I know there's one thing, probably a heavy burden that you're carrying that came to your mind. That one thing that you wish would just go away. What are you going to do with that one thing? What are you going to do with that assignment, with that cup that God has chosen for you? Unfortunately, this circumstance, this issue, this cup is not going to disappear. We heard that yesterday from one of the ladies. You cannot pour whatever is in your cup down the sink and hope that you will never hear from those contents again. What will you and I do with these opportunities that God has given us? You may ask, well, why in the world would you call it an opportunity? Well, I heard it from a podcaster or something that I was listening to. And many months ago, when my husband first passed away, I had, 3 or 4 of these cards. I found them on Amazon. They've got succulents on them, really cute. And I started writing Bible verses by my bathroom mirror. And I taped them on there because I needed it. So somewhere down the line, I should have dated them, but I didn't. I wrote this down. And I said, God, give me a vision. Give me courage. And something I really needed was a quiet mind. Because my mind was crazy. And then I had a separation, and I wrote, what will I do with my opportunity? And that was very challenging to me. Because you know what? I want to take my opportunity, and I want to throw it out the window real quick. But it wouldn't make a difference because it wasn't going to change anything. So what will you do with your opportunity? And it really is, if you look at it. Because God can do so much with your opportunity, with your new or maybe old assignment. I don't know how long that opportunity that God's given you has been around. Mine's still sort of new. These are opportunities for us to draw closer to the Lord and to show others the power of God through our testimony. It's an opportunity to use our experience to help someone else. So, I'm not going to go into the whole story. A lot of you know. But it'll be 2 years on June 1st. After about 3.5 weeks of my husband being in the hospital, and many, many, many of you, I know, praying for him. That God took him to heaven. And as of now, I still have mixed emotions about that. Am I glad? No, I'm not. But you know what? Ladies, I have to be honest with you. My husband came from a really rough background. He was married before he married me. But it was a mess. His wife was unfaithful. He had a daughter, her name's Allison. And I love her very much. But Jesse just really had a rough, due to his own choices, I get that. But, I was thinking one day, you know what? He didn't have to go through this grief and sorrow. And I'm so glad he didn't. Because he had enough he had to deal with. And so I'm glad he got to go to heaven. And he was very competitive, so one of the first things I said when I was at the hospital telling him goodbye, I didn't get to the hospital in time. He was sedated and all that, so that's neither here nor there, but one of the first things when I called preacher from the hospital, I said, he won, he beat us all, he got to heaven first. And that's what he would have wanted, because he was very competitive man. That's where my daughter gets it from. But when that happened, I wanted to crumple up my assignment, and like I said, I wanted to throw it out the window. But slowly, as God began to teach me and grow me on this journey, after several months, once a lot of the fogginess and the craziness in my mind began to clear a bit, which, by the way, I know there's a lot of widows in here, new widows, people that have been a widow much shorter time than I have. And you are my heroes. And I want to say, before I became a widow, and again, you don't ever understand things until you've been there, right? Whether it's cancer or whatever the situation may be. I don't get cancer because I don't deal with that. But boy, I wish I would have appreciated you all a long time ago. And it's a very unique group in your church, and I've gotten to know our widows. We get together once a month and we have a ball, and it's a lot of fun. But I wish I would have done that sooner. Be patient with people, whether it's widowhood or whatever it is. I've really learned you really got to be patient with people, because it takes time of God working in a lot of prayer, and be patient with folks. But after months of that fogginess and craziness clearing from my mind, God began to give me a word each month. And I really needed something to get that quiet mind. I had to get control, because if we don't control our minds, ladies, it's over with. You have to bring in, like they said yesterday, that into captivity. And so I had heard it somewhere, they would say, get a word for the year, get it. Well, I started doing it for the month, or as long as I need it. And that word would guide me, and it would challenge me. It would help me focus on what I needed to work on. Because again, my mind was in overdrive with a lot of thoughts and a lot of worries. Usually for about a month or two, I would work on that particular word long enough to where I thought I had somewhat of a grasp on it. And then I would sometimes have to go back to it and remind myself. So my first two words, and our ladies have heard this quite often because I review this for me a lot. Acceptance. You just have to, okay, this is it. This is my assignment. This is my lot. This is my portion. And it has been given to me by God. Because remember, He's in control. He is God. Now, again, you may think that's very elementary, but I had to do that like over and over and over and over again. Okay, God, this is you. You're in control, and I accept it. He's gone. I got to move on with life. At some point I got to that. It didn't happen within the first couple of months, because I, again, was a crazy woman. Okay? Not literally, but my mind was crazy. Well, Laura, was I crazy woman? Just my mind, right? Yeah. So acceptance. But my second word was surrender. Okay? As teenagers, we teach our teenagers, listen, you need to surrender. You got to surrender to the Lord. But what about us adults? We need to surrender too, right? And I had to surrender this situation to the Lord. Okay? Acceptance, definition, to take or receive what is offered. To receive with favor. Surrender, to yield to the power of another. To give up. So, okay, God, I give up. Here's my cup. You're filling it with this right now, this trial, this heartache. But okay, God. And again, I would have to say that over and over and over again. And aren't you glad the Lord knows your heart? I learned not too long ago that the word, some of these words like grace and mercy and even love sometimes, they're sort of complicated words. And at some point I read the definition of mercy, kindness. And like Miss Cindy with that word grace, God is so merciful. And that means to me, God is so kind. And I'm so glad He is, because He knows my heart. He knows that I'm going to struggle. He knows that. And He's patient. And He's kind. So this opportunity, this trial for me has been life-changing. Okay? I told the Lord, okay, all right, you got this. This is what I have been assigned by God. I worked on learning to say, yes, Lord. I accept this and I surrender to you. I had to say it again many, many times over and over every day. I still have to bring it to God and surrender it to him, this grief and this heartache. But this surrender, I am learning now that I'm 2 years out. I was telling one of the ladies from Mrs. Petrick's church that I told the Lord at the beginning, could you please just catapult me a year down the road? Wouldn't that make it so much easier? And it probably, I guess it would have, but boy, the lessons I've learned and what God's taught me, I wouldn't have wanted that. So, when I began to surrender and accept, it began a healing process that is not over with, because I don't think it will, ever go away, but it's still continuing, and that process has really been amazing. In case you're into this whole word thing, I'm going to tell you my other ones that I used, okay? And I'm still using. Contentment. I'm not good at that one. Restore. Commit. I had to commit my life again to God. Because I'm like, God, okay, what am I doing now? I'm not a wife. There's plenty for me to do, plenty to keep me busy, but I just sort of felt like I lost my purpose. So commit. And another word has been others. And then courage was my word in January and February. And lately, God's been teaching me about faith. Faith and trust. Those are hard too. And none of these I've arrived at all, okay? I'm always reviewing them. Probably why I'm teaching on them, because I need them again. So I have learned, so back to the lesson. Those are my other words. I have learned over the last year that acceptance is the pathway to peace. Mrs. Walker said that yesterday. Surrendering to God and accepting your cup is the pathway to blessing, healing, and peace. Again, some situations, I get it, we can change it and we can make it better or whatever, but there's some things you just gotta say, okay, I can't do anything. This is it. And you've got to accept it, and you've got to say, okay, life has to go on. And that's where I was at. It has already been said, but it is not so much the actual circumstances in our life, but it is our response to those circumstances that God brings into our life. In life, many different cups are passed our way. Some things God puts into our cup are not easy to swallow. Here's my stuff now. I did not try this. My mother never made me take this. Thank you. But this is organic castor oil. This comes from beef. Who has ever eaten? Sharon, have you had it? Who's that? Naomi? I know your mother, I believe it. Doreen? Wow, okay. Paula, okay. I didn't try it. I thought about it, and I go, no, I don't want to. So this may be not so fun to have in your cup, right? All right, I need some teen girls. Just stand up if you have a favorite drink, or junior high girls, or junior age girls, I should say. Who has a favorite drink? Come on, you gotta help me out. Where's some teen girls who tell me their favorite drink? Marion. Apple juice. Savannah. Orange juice. No pop. Sweet tea. Tell me your name. You're not Kara. Leah, sorry. Sweet tea. Kennedy, right? Coke. Okay. Well, at my house, my husband was now, I don't really drink pop at all anymore. I never really was a big pop drinker. But he liked diet Dr. Pepper. I don't get the whole diet over the right, but whatever, that's what he liked. This is my son's cup. When he brought this home, how much did you pay for that? I don't know, $20 or something. Oh, you're crazy. But it was really good for my illustration today. So, one thing I don't want to forget is, this is the bad stuff, right? Yep. Look how much bigger that is, right? So the Lord told me this yesterday when I decided to use these two things. The blessings, I have some tragedy, quite a bit of tragedy actually in my life over the lot of years. But you know what, the blessings, look how much bigger they are. And they really are. But you know what, the devil gets us to focus on that right there. And that, again, that's your mind. We have to get control of our minds. And that's why I pushed those books, Scriptural Solutions. That will help you. The Bible, you can't do it without the Bible. You can't do it without the Lord. You have to get your mind under control, and it's only through the Word of God and through prayer. So many different cups will come our way, and He'll put different things into our cups, okay? Everything, again, is given to us by our Heavenly Father. It doesn't always taste good, but it's good for us. The Lord doesn't always give us our favorite drink, but He always gives us what's best for us. Okay? Do you remember? I was going to have Laura come up here. We could illustrate this, but I won't do it. Do you remember giving your kids medicine when they were really little? You had the little spoon that had like, I don't know, the tube, you know, and you pour it in the tube, and then you got to get it down their throat without it going all over you. And I can remember. I'm sure it was Weston and not Laura, but I would sit in the chair, I'd put their legs in between my two legs, and somehow, I think one arm went back here. I know this arm, the medicine was here. And I had to have somebody sometimes hold their nose. It must have been Jessie. And I would just hold their nose because they gotta take it. If they hold their nose, they gotta swallow it. And it was pretty awful that we did that, but sometimes that's what we had to do. And so, but I do think sometimes that's how we are with the Lord. We're kicking and screaming. I know that's how I was. And he just wants what's best for us. He's given us some bad stuff, but it's there to help us. That's what this stuff was for, right, Paula? You had to take it? It was good for you. Okay. Thank you, Mom. I'm glad I didn't have to take that stuff. So, he gives us what's best. God has given me an assignment, my portion, my cup. How will I choose to handle it? How will I respond to what God has given? Do you know that life is made up of choices, right? And every choice, good or bad, has consequences. Okay, normally when we think of consequences, we think bad choices, but it's not true. I told this girls in my Sunday school class all the time, you choose the right road, you're gonna get good consequences. You choose the wrong road, you're gonna get bad consequences. Isn't that amazing? But it's true, okay? Diane, I'm so glad you're here. My husband growing up, 4 of them, Kelly, Diana's husband Bob, Danny Atwood, who's a member of our church, who invited my husband to church, and Rerun, Jeff. All grew up since like around kindergarten or at least grade school days. And Diana and Bob are now coming to our church, and that happened after Jesse passed, right? And I just know when you guys came, he was jumping up and down, so excited. And then Bob got saved, and that's the blessings. So my time is short, and I'll probably have to skip some points, but one of my main points is choices. I had to choose. You know, at some point, the craziness of my mind said, Jane, you gotta get a hold of yourself. Life cannot be like this the rest of your days. I'm almost 50, but not quite there. But I have a lot of life to live. And I wanted to live life. But I didn't quite know how to do it. So, choices. Was I going to decide to surrender, or was I going to rebel against God's plan for my life, my assignment? Surrender, again, to yield to the power of another, to give up. I went for a few months rebelling against God's assignment. Most, maybe all. There's a few. Rachel, I'm sure, probably realized it. She was a very close friend of Miss Cindy through all of this. But I rebelled for quite a few months. But you know what? Teen girls, ladies, junior girls, it didn't get me anywhere. I began to realize the mess that my mind was in, and that's when my words again came about. Acceptance, surrender, and so on. I knew that I needed help, and I knew that help had to come from God. I began to pray and ask God to help me surrender to Him, and to help me surrender to this new set of circumstances, this assignment, this cup, this portion. I remember hearing a song while we were in Arizona. My husband's family lives in Arizona now. My father-in-law and my sister-in-law and her family. And we went to church with them, with Vicki, and it's not a church quite like ours. But they did sing the song, I Surrender All. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. You know, we sing that invitation time, saved people, or unsaved people, you need to come, you need to surrender to the Lord. But you know what God said to me? You haven't surrendered. I surrender all. Really think about that song the next time you sing it. And I said, okay, Lord, and I was bawling. I'm like, okay, I got it. And He said, you need to surrender to me. And He said, you know, Jane, He was never yours. He's always been mine. And you need to surrender that. So again, when I lost my husband, I was pretty upset. I thought God got it wrong. All these people, Lord, are praying. Why couldn't you just heal them? And you did, but not the way I necessarily would have wanted it. So my pride, let me read this. I had to learn to let God be God. And again, I was pretty upset with him about not answering my prayer and that God did not heal him. I began to realize how proud I was. Why was I upset with God? Because of my pride. Because after all, I know best, right? God didn't do what I asked him to do, and I wasn't very happy about it because I knew better than God. I'm a very transparent person. Hope you can handle it. But that's where I was. What are you mad at God about? What's the cup? Maybe it was something good, but what's the cup? What's he put in your cup that you're not particularly caring for right now? Okay? Now again, some of you new widows in here, you're not at this point, and I don't expect you to be. So you need to make notes of this. And some time down the road, you're going to get to this, okay? Can you sing it and mean it? I surrender all. I do not discount anyone's pain and anguish right now that you're going through. I know there's some people in here with other heartache than being a widow. There's some really severe heartache in here. But ladies, we just have to face it. We have to go on. Our kids need us. Our churches need us. Bus kids, Sunday school classes, our Christian school kids, they need us. We are going to get knocked down, but we must get back up. I told my son, I said, I get to speak at the ladies' meeting. I think I'm going to dress up in football gear because this is the football camp building, okay? And I love football camp. And I said, I'm going to tell them, listen, ladies, when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. And all this football camp jargon, you know how they do. But it is true. We need that. He's like, Mom, do not do that. I'm like, it don't matter. You're not going to be there. He's Weston's great. He's fun. Another song I thought of is It Is Well With My Soul. When sorrow like sea billows roll, whatever my lot. I'm like, wow, that's good. Thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Again, acceptance and surrender is the pathway to peace. You will never have peace in your heart until you accept your cup and your portion that God has poured out for you. Single girls, I want to talk to you for a minute. I'm single again. Now, I put my wedding band, I've left it because I haven't worn on that finger for a little while. At a year, I switched fingers, and then sometimes I just don't wear it at all. It's a really weird thing, I just have to tell you. It's like, what do? I love my jewelry. It's beautiful. I love rings. But, you know, I don't know. You just got to figure it out for yourself, and that's what I did. And I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's what I did. But today, it's on that fingers, and that's okay. I like it. That I'll leave it. Single girls, I get it. I didn't get married until I was 25, and I thought I was going to die.
Yep.
But I get it. Okay? Married ladies, don't you date anybody? When is you know, when it happens, everybody will know, okay? So just let her be her, and don't really, we really give, you know, when you're gonna get married, well, when you're gonna have a baby, well, maybe they're really having a hard time, and that's really hard to swallow when you're always asking them. Be conscious of that, okay? Be careful. That's a side note. Preacher says that's free and on the side. Okay. Single girls, let me read this to you. Accept where you are in life, and live life to its fullest. I have a friend in New York that challenged me to travel. She's like, just go travel, do what you want to do. You know, within, obviously, parameters. And she challenged me, and she helped me. And I went to Florida all by myself. And I stayed in Airbnb. I love the water. Jesse wasn't a water guy, so we didn't really ever do that much. I went, and there was hardly anybody there. It was wonderful, and I enjoyed it very much. Now, the 14-hour drive back home by myself, not so much. But live life, you know, once you have kids, Miss Amanda, right? I mean, you're limited what you could do. Live life, have fun, get a couple of your friends together, let's go do this, make plans. Just live that single life, okay? Do right, but go live it up a little bit, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. I I wrote this down. This is from my husband. He told me to say this. I don't get it. There are so many good single young ladies that are getting into their upper 20s, maybe even early 30s. But the guys, I'm just telling you, it was like this when I was in high school. Some of them don't meet the, preacher, no. Never get married. And then God caught Jesse in our church like it was boom, and he was here. Praise the Lord for that. But this is what I want to tell you for my husband. I cannot help it that guys are just nitwits. Did you know what I was going to say? That was my husband's word. I had to say it. It's a weird word, but that's what he called people. Nitwits. So, do as much as you can for God, single ladies. Serve your parents, serve your pastor. Stay busy living for others. Get your mind off yourself. It's hard to do, but you can do it. Make plans, go and do things with your friends. Get to know the older ladies in your church. Plan an activity with them. I'm telling you, it's the best thing I ever did. I get to hang out with Grandma Wax and a lady like Kathy Lofbaum and my mom and Melissa and Miriam Jedlik and Sharon Scrivener. I have gotten to know them, and I absolutely love it. We have a wonderful time together. Now, another thing I like about it is I'm the youngest, so. But I have learned so much. I absolutely love hanging out with Review Actions. I just think it's an honor. I just love her. And all the other ones too, but I'm just saying. I heard the statement the other day, don't allow your longings to stop you from living, because it can. Okay? Surrender your singleness to God and trust Him. I know it's hard. I do not discount that. Okay? I remember it back then, and I'm living it again. Okay? I do understand it, and it's hard to be patient. Do not settle. Don't settle. Okay? One thing I rejoice about with my husband, he never beat me. He never hurt me. He did everything in his power to make me happy. And I can rejoice in that. And I'm very happy that God gave that to me. But surrender it to Him. I know it's hard, and I know you don't understand. Why do I have this desire, Lord, if I'm not going to get married? And I would pray, Lord, just take the desire away. That's what I pray. If God, if you don't, for some reason, want me to, if you want me to be married, if you don't want me to be married, I don't know what's going on. But you just give me the right desires, and I want to do your will. Okay? Do not settle. You will be glad that you waited for God's best. Teen girls, I want to talk at you for just a second. The best decision you will ever make in your life is just to surrender your will to the Lord, to your parents, and to your pastor. You will not go wrong, ever. Okay? Do not think that you are smarter than them. Don't rebel against your authorities. They love you, and they want what is best for you. Sometimes you won't like what they're giving you, but it's good for you. Realize that you are not smarter than them, and just take it and say, okay, I'm just going to trust them, and I'm going to do what they tell me to do. Okay? This is something I tell my girls in Sunday school. Do you really think that you can go against Scripture and everything will be okay? Because you're going to be the first one to prove the Bible wrong. So I tell them, I'm like, you can go that road if you want to, and you think you're going to be different, but you're not. It's going to happen. It may take a few months, but we're going to get phone calls, and we're going to try to help you put back the pieces, and we will, but we don't have to. Just learn to trust and to listen. You're not an exception to the rule. Preacher says this verse probably every Sunday. Good understanding giveth favor, but the way of the transgressor is hard. All you have to realize, junior age girl and teen girl, is that you don't have to understand, but you better borrow some understanding and just trust your parents, trust your pastor, and do what they tell you to do. And you will not, again, regret it. Okay? I'm going to skip a bunch of my notes because I am out of time. I'll give you the highlights, and then we'll go from there. So number 2 choice. Another choice I had to make was to focus on others or to focus on myself. And I would just tell you, ladies, that has been the key to my healing. I don't know how to explain it, but when you get your eyes off yourself, it's transforming. Because you realize, oh, I'm not the only one. And that situation is a whole lot worse than my situation. Thank God I didn't have to go through that, And you start helping people, and it gets your eyes off yourself. I chose to try to live with faith and trust instead of worry and fear. Miss Cindy gave me the phrase, honor God by trusting God, and that has been a lifeline to me. honor God by trusting God. And then the last thing, and I'm done. I had to choose. God told me no, right? So one day while I was reading my Bible, I realized that, you know who else God told no? His own son. I was pretty mad at God for telling me no. And I read let me read a couple verses, Matthew 26:39. And he, Jesus, went a little further, fell on his face and prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup," don't you love it? "Let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt." Jesus said, if it be possible. Now, listen to Mark 14:36. And he said, Jesus, "Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but thou wilt." And you know what? I kept telling the Lord when Jesse was sick, I said, "I know you can do anything. Nothing's impossible." And when I saw that verse, I'm like, that's what Jesus told him. I know all things are possible with thee, Father. Okay, but no. Okay, this is your will. This is my cup. And he took the cup of suffering. And why did he do that? Anybody know why he did that? Anybody raise your hand? Was that for you? You all following me? So when I choose then to take my cup of suffering, guess what it's for? It's not really. Yeah, it's helping me, yes, but it's for others. Because I'm walking a path that someone else just might walk. And I can help, like someone else that hasn't been down this path cannot do, for others. And that's what Jesus did for us. So I don't know how I don't think it sounds blasphemous, but it was a comfort to me that I realized that God told his own son no. Because ladies, I'm just telling you, I was like, God, do you love me? And I know it's wrong to question that, and I shouldn't have done that, but I did. But you know, I started thinking, God loved his own son like nothing else. But he still said no to him. It was so comforting to me. I can't explain it, but it was so, so comforting. And why did he do it? For you and for me. And my whole thing there was, God told me no so that I could know him. Philippians 3, you don't need to turn there because I need to be done. 9 and 10, verse 10, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death. God told me no so that I could know him, K-N-O-W. And that was huge in my heart when I found those things. And that helped me so, so much. And that has been life-changing. So, Jesus went to the cross for you and for me. And he did that for a reason. If you are here and you are not saved, no one's really dwelt on this, but I want to take a minute. Get it settled. If you are doubting, get it settled today. Jesus died for you. You are special to him. I ask God every day now, show me that I am special to you. I want to know that you are my Heavenly Father. He loves you. Jesus is coming soon. Time's running out. If you're not saved, please come forward today and get that taken care of. It's so simple. If you're doubting like I did, I doubted for years and years. July 27th of 1997, I got it settled. If you're doubting, get it taken care of today. I beg you. Time is short. We don't know when Jesus comes back or when your day may be your last. Let's bow our heads and pray. Lord, I love you. I thank you for this time together. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your grace. Lord, I do pray if someone's here that's not saved, they don't know, they have the assurance of heaven, they've never trusted you or they've been doubting. Help them to take care of that today, dear God. Help them not to wait. Put it off. Lord, thank you again so much for your goodness to us and all that you've done. We just ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Let's continue the attitude of invitation, if you don't mind. Keep your heads bowed for just a few more minutes. Let's take a moment to